Also representing the state from the community, from the city of Woonsocket, is a state representative who's been very active in the community, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you Representative Bob Phillips.
Thank you, Roger. I was going to say I was so impressed with the students today. It's in this building here we have a lot of talking, a lot of debates, and usually our voices aren't as nice as the students' voices, so it was a pleasure for me to listen to the joyful voices of the students, and I was going to give them another round of applause, but I see they're occupied, so I'll just leave that for later, hopefully. On behalf of Speaker Gordon Fox and the House of Representatives, it is an honor to be here today to attend this flag-raising ceremony as we preserve the culture of one of the most important ethnic groups in Rhode Island, those of the French-Canadian and French descent. On Tuesday, we proudly saluted the cultures of our Irish and Italian friends at our annual St. Patrick's and St. Joseph's Day events. It is equally important to preserve and honor the French Canadians in Rhode Island, who have made our state the great place it is to live and work. In the early 20th century, thousands of immigrants flocked from Quebec to Rhode Island, especially to Woonsocket and the Blackstone Valley, to make a better life for themselves in the mills and the industrial era. I am proud to represent the great city of Woonsocket, and I know what the French traditions and customs mean to the people and residents of our city. The hard-working people of French-Canadian descent have always been leaders in Woonsocket and all of Rhode Island. Roger Bejan is one example. He is a former member of the General Assembly, former General Treasurer, and Lieutenant Governor in the state of Rhode Island, and he is very highly regarded in the civic and business areas. Congratulations, Roger. Thank you for your service. I am also proud to know that we have the Museum of Working Culture in the city of Woonsocket, which is an old mill that was reverberated and redeveloped as a museum to preserve the history, the culture, and the traditions of the French Canadians. If you have not seen it, I would highly encourage all of you to visit the Museum of Working Culture and learn what life used to be back in the early 20th century and mid-20th centuries. I congratulate all of you today for sharing your culture and teaching to the next generations. It is so important that we carry on these traditions. This wonderful group of students from the French American School is definitely an inspiration to all of us. It is a privilege to welcome you to the Statehouse on behalf of the House of Representatives and Speaker Gordon Fox. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. I just want to recognize we have here today representatives of some of the French organizations, the Alliance Française, Club du Chilieu, and other organizations, and we're so pleased by your ongoing support and continued presence at events like this. For those of us of French heritage, if we are from the north in Quebec, we really maybe a few years before, as is the case with my family back in the 1600s, came from France to Quebec. So we all ultimately derive from France, and I have the pleasure of introducing the representative, the Consul General of France in Boston, representing New England, my friend, a gentleman who has only served in this capacity for about a year, but Fabien Fieschi has really taken hold of his responsibilities and is managing a very active agenda, and I'm happy to introduce him to all of you. Fabien Fieschi.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Gouverneur Chaifi, cher Roger Bejan, chers amis, et surtout un grand merci aux enfants de l'école franco-américaine du Rhode Island. Ils ont été très sages, ils ont très bien chanté, et donc bravo aux parents et aux professeurs. C'est un grand plaisir pour moi de participer à cette cérémonie célébrant la francophonie dans le Rhode Island. The recognition of the flag of Francophonie and of the Day of Francophonie in Rhode Island is a celebration of the important contribution that people of French descent or from French-speaking cultures have brought to the wealth, and cultural diversity of the ocean state for centuries. From the first settlements of French Huguenots and of displaced Acadians to the encampments of the fellows of Lafayette, Rochambeau, and De Grasse in Newport and Providence, just a few steps away from this beautiful Statehouse, from the waves of French Canadians during the immigrants during the Industrial Revolution to the more recent immigrants from Haiti or Western Africa and beyond. Francophonie is about language, it's about heritage, it's about culture. But today, speaking French is also about connecting and exchanging ideas in the same language with more than 220 million people throughout the world. It's about academic exchange, and here I would like to mention the thriving language programs in universities such as University of Rhode Island or Brown University. It's about scientific cooperation. It's about opportunities for business and jobs, with the many French and Canadian businesses that have invested in Rhode Island and companies of Rhode Island which are developing on markets overseas and especially in French-speaking countries. 2012 was a great year for Francophonie in Rhode Island, with both the official inauguration of the new building of the Alliance Française de Providence and the holding of the annual meeting of the Federation of Alliance Française in Providence last October. With the holding of the annual meeting of the American Association of Teachers of French in next July 2013, 2013 promises to be another great year for Francophonie in Rhode Island. So I would like to congratulate you and just invite you to enjoy the many events in French organized during this month of Francophonie in Rhode Island. And I would close just by saying a few words in French, which would be amusez-vous, parlez français, et longue vie à la francophonie dans le Rhode Island. Merci à tous.
You know, days like this are really as much a celebration of the friendship among countries, among the United States with France and other countries. And we're just so pleased to have these representatives here. We heard from the representative of the province of Quebec, and we have Patrick Binns here today, who is the representative, the Consul General of Canada. And I'm happy to introduce him this morning. Patrick.
Merci Roger. C'est mon plaisir pour d'être ici avec vous cet après-midi matin. Mes collègues, mesdames et messieurs, distingués invités, French is obviously one of Canada's two official languages and is at the root of Canada's history and heritage and is a vital asset for our Canadian future. Les francophones représentant près du quart de la population canadienne, soit un peu moins de 7,7 millions d'habitants. Canada's francophonie is also strengthened by the millions of Canadians who speak French as a second official language. And if they are all taken into account, an estimated 10 million Canadians today can carry on a conversation in French. And as you know, many New Englanders, as we've experienced here in Rhode Island, are also of French-Canadian descent and made their Francophone heritage an important part of the cultural connection in their communities. And of course, we've already heard of the activities at the Museum of Culture and Heritage of Woonsocket and other communities such as Pawtucket. Canada's main objectives as a member of the Francophonie are to promote democratic, cultural, and economic values, as well as solidarity between French-speaking countries. And here in Rhode Island, this shared cultural heritage underpins a trade relationship that the economists tell us is worth some $1.6 billion annually and supports over 27,000 jobs in the state. At the Consulate General, we have been working with legislators, and the business community in Rhode Island, and our Francophone connections provide yet another platform which we can collaborate and use to grow this valuable relationship. Nous sommes très heureux de célébrer la francophonie avec vous aujourd'hui et je vous souhaite une bonne journée de la francophonie. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Patrick. You know, the speaking of the French language is so important to so many people here and throughout the state. And the training and the teaching of the French language rests primarily on those school teachers in our community who every day are teaching our students. And the organization of French teachers. We have Michel Yibet. Did I say that correctly? All right, Yibet. So I'd like to introduce Michael to say a few words.
Merci. OK. De la part de l'Association américaine des professeurs de français, un gros bonjour et bon printemps, je pense. Happy spring, I think. Right? Monsieur le gouverneur Tchefi, les représentants distingués de la France et du Canada, et vous le public, bonjour. Je vous souhaite une très bonne fête de la francophonie. I'm honored to be here again this year in this beautiful building for the fourth time, in fact, to celebrate with you this very international day representing the Rhode Island chapter of the American Association of Teachers of French. This very Francophone Day is celebrated throughout the world in honor of the French language. And there's one thing that you can say about the French: they exported their language very well. From Europe to Northern and Western Africa, from Oceania to Polynesia, as well as throughout the Western Hemisphere, French is spoken in all its varieties by an estimated 220 million people. This figure is estimated to double by 2025 and quite possibly triple by 2050, primarily due to the rise in population on the African continent. Here in the United States, one can count an estimated 2 million people who speak French, and here in our ocean state, an estimated 20,000 speakers, coming principally from Europe, Africa, and of course, Canada and Haiti. These figures certainly give pause in this age of globalization. It is for this reason, among others, that the AETF, the association which I represent, believes that it is very important for Rhode Island students to continue to be exposed to the study of the language and the many Francophone cultures throughout the world. And it is essential that Rhode Island schools retain their programs in French as a foreign language requirement for our students. One studies French because it is a language of business, of diplomacy, i.e. the United Nations, but also of culture, of travel, of literature, of cinema, of music, and sport, i.e. the Olympics, as well as to open oneself up to the world. Here in Rhode Island, I'm happy to say that enrollments in French courses are stable. An impressive number for the National French Contest this year. Over 1,000 students have participated. And further, the French program at the University of Rhode Island has become a model for the rest of the country while combining the study of the language with a concentration in either business, engineering, pharmacy, and of course, education. Before leaving you, I would like to share with you some really big news for teachers of French as well as for the city of Providence. The capital city will be the site of the 2013 AATF convention, its annual convention, this coming mid-July. Hundreds of teachers of French, exhibitors from major textbook companies, tour operators, as well as representatives from French-speaking nations will attend over 6 days the largest of annual events for teachers of French in the United States. I'm excited. Je suis très content. Certainly, my team and I have a lot of work to do. That said, I'm thrilled that our city will be hosting this very important occasion. Et voilà. Merci beaucoup et bonne fête à la francophonie. Merci.